Well, I'm back, folks. Peter Piper, the True Light, coming to you on 0108 hours, early Thursday morning. Yes, I'm wearing my specs, so I look my age now. Smoking the bunker pipe. The Peterson XL315 rusticated system pipe. Just lit my tobacco, going to tamp it down since it bloomed up, as it does on a full bowl. Be down here for a while. And what am I smoking? Well, I had a really good ribeye dinner with some broccoli, keeping with my keto diet. And I decided to raid my tobacco cellar. Cellared this last month on the 21st of September, and just couldn't wait to have some because I didn't have any. And what is it? Goes good after a good beefy meal, eh? Orlick, dark, strong Kentucky. Aye. Well, gotta give it a true light, as it were. Pardon me. I tell you, dark, strong Kentucky is starting to grow on me. And especially after a good beef meal. Yes. Well, I have a special treat for you tonight. And there's a reason why I'm wearing my glasses. I'm going to read to you. And it's an email that I received from my dear uncle, who is 11 to 12 years older than I am. And he's an Army veteran from the United States Army, served 2 years in Vietnam in the Special Forces as a Green Beret, and not the kind of guy that talks about it too much. None of them do. I mean, these guys can kill you with the flick of their finger, but he's a good man. We don't agree all the time, particularly on politics. We won't go there, however. But without further ado, I want to read this story to you because it has special significance. He corresponds with a lot of his fellow veterans that served with him, and this is a special story. And particularly if you're an animal lover, you'll really enjoy it. So without further ado, it's on my computer. I'm going to put my laptop in my lap and read. So bear with me. And the title of the email is Bubba the Special Forces Tiger. Story below is from Lou Schneider, an air commando brother who could always spin a bit of humor into things. Note, SF is not San Francisco, but Special Forces. And SOG stands for Special Ops Guys, or actually it's Special Operations Group. Okay. I just received this and had heard previous stories like this and others when I was in Laos and after returning. Laos had a number of stories with animals as people would take them in as pets. My house didn't have any pet stories, but others did. It makes interesting reading, and from my point, having some of this in Laos believable is believable. Bubba the Lucky Tiger. We got him in Laos after his mom tramped on us on a landmine. He was only 2 days old, but I had him in my jungle jacket wrapped in a towel. When we were extracted, we fed him milk and got him on his way. He did well because he got much larger than an Asian tiger usually grew to. His weakness was real beer. He had 2 cans a day, which he slurped down, went to a corner of the hooch, rolled on his back, showed his junk, and snored like the last day. If the bubster wanted to get in your bunk with you, you just rolled over and dealt with it. It was a shame so many tigers were killed over there because most were killed for sport and not in human defense. When we cycled out, the question was not what the hell to do with Bubba. He couldn't survive because he only knew SOG, SF, SEALs, etc. Here's where we got creative. We had access to things normal military didn't. So we got creative, and a phone call went to Research Zoo in Sydney, Australia, and were asked if they wanted a fine tiger. When the lady at the other end realized we were for real, she pissed her pants and said, "Yes, but how do we get him?" I don't want to reference Air America, but we flew the Bubster to his new home, and I got off the airplane with him, walking beside me like a dog on a leash. They all went nuts when we walked to the lady, and he heeled by her side, looking at her for instructions. He must have had a very good time and life there because he sired tons of babies. When I was back in Sydney in 1987, I saw a bronze plaque telling about the SF Tiger that came to them in 1969 and made lots of great baby tigers. That part of my life is gone, like Bubba, who lasted to 1985. But every time I hear of a tiger, make those special, gotta scroll down, make those special noises, my head and heart goes back to a tiny little baby we found in Laos in 1968. God, I miss him. By the way, the Bubster never lived in a cage. He was always shown love from a bunch of very dangerous men whose hearts melted when they met him. To discipline him, you grabbed a handful of hair and flesh on his shoulder and simply said no. He never retaliated, he just complied. When I said he'd never lived in a cage, the decision about the zoo where he ended up was a research zoo that was very excited because of gene diversity. It also had the new concept of no animals in cages. People were the ones in cages or behind glass. It took a bit for him to get back to being a tiger, but after he figured out the male-female thing, nature took its course and he was off to the races and made a ton of tiger babies who are in zoos around the world. God bless. To my knowledge, he was the only SF tiger in the history books. An interesting side note is that SF and Mac V were in many ways involved with the CIA. The Coates and Ties back at Langley, Virginia couldn't understand how our intel was so accurate. Picture an NVA prisoner strapped into a chair and questioned. Also picture the prisoner telling us in multiple languages to go F ourselves. So a hood goes back on, and the prisoner was told to spill the beans, or we were going to feed the zip to our tiger. They all laughed in their asses off and said we were crazy. Enter the bubster and have his head about 2 feet from the prisoner, pull the hood off. At the same time, I would pinch the back of Bubba's neck. He roared in the dink's face with his extremely nasty tiger breath, and the prisoner pissed his pants, or worse, while he sang like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. God, I miss that stuff. By the way, our intel was so accurate, the pencil necks were amazed and never found out why. Here ends the reading. Well, I hope that enlightened you. And, they call waterboarding torture, but here I think we just gave the old bloke a horror show. And with that, I will say good night. God bless.